Welcome to the video. My name is Reed Sassenberg and I'm the founder of Married Ambition. This video is on how I help men prevent divorce, part 13. So this is part 13 of, obviously, we've done 13 videos in this series. There's going to be another 7 more to go. So if you haven't watched the previous series, just watch those in line and things will start making a lot of sense to you as to the build up and the cycle through this series of videos. So this video is on, she's cold, she's distant, and she's checked out. And we're talking about female emotional withdrawal, your wife's withdrawal emotionally from the relationship. And the reason why this is important is because most guys completely understand what is actually happening when their wife emotionally pulls away. Most guys, especially guys who are on the edge of divorce, she said she wants space, separation, the gut punch, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. All these cliches, okay? If you interpret those the wrong way, you make your situation worse. You do further damage to the relationship. So most guys are interpreting that in a way that will make the relationship worse or do further damage to, the relationship and then prevent you from reconciling. So when she pulls back emotionally, a lot of guys start thinking she doesn't love me. She's completely done. She's changed overnight. Okay. And emotional withdrawal is always a build-up. There's always a build-up for her emotionally as to why she's pulled away. And this happens because of repeated patterns in the relationship. The good thing about this is that you can change those patterns because you're responsible as the man in the relationship to lead the relationship emotionally. Leadership's not just emotional, but what we're talking about here is emotional leadership. So you have to be extremely understanding that the masculine has to lead the relationship emotionally. You have to understand that critical point, okay? So that means that you can change the patterns. This results in her resentment building if you don't change those patterns further, but it's also responsible for why you've got here, okay? The resentment of those continuous patterns. These have been building up over years and months in the relationship, okay? So what am I talking about, repeated patterns or resentment and things like this? This is about unresolved emotional tension, okay? Emotional exhaustion for her, pressure, unresolved conflict, emotional neglect, emotional instability. And this all leads to one thing, a lack of emotional safety, which then leads to a lack of emotional connection. So the woman, she requires emotional connection in the relationship, especially the long-term relationship. We're not talking about dating. We're not talking about, girls off Tinder or a girl that you meet and pick up at the club and you see her for a couple of days and that's it. I'm talking about a long-term marriage here, which is why you're watching this video. It's a very different game, okay? There has to be emotional connection for her. This is extremely important. So the reason she's withdrawing is because there's a problem. There's multiple issues in the relationship regarding emotional safety, emotional connection, and her needs not being met. So the withdrawal usually starts emotionally long before it becomes verbal. Okay, and it manifests through the words, I want space, separation, or divorce. So this has been a long process and build up for her. Why does this matter? Why does it matter if she's emotionally pulling back? Well, obviously you're aware that, if she's not emotionally connected to the relationship, there is no relationship with the woman, okay? If you understand emotional withdrawal, if you misunderstand emotional withdrawal, you'll respond in a number of destructive ways. You're going to panic. You're going to apply pressure. You're going to chase harder. You're going to seek reassurance. You're going to seek validation. You're going to try and force that closeness. You're going to try and force her to move towards you emotionally. Now, early on, when she sees the relationship as hopeful, when she has higher tolerance for you, that works. When you move towards her, she perceives that as connection. She perceives that as love. But the reason why that doesn't work anymore is because she sees the pattern is not changing. Okay? And when you continue to try and do the same things over and over again, this accelerates things because she knows there's going to be no change. So she's going to withdraw, okay? And most women who emotionally withdraw, the last thing you want to do is apply emotional pressure, especially when you're in the position of where she's saying she wants space, separation, or divorce. Okay, like I said early on in the relationship, you can do that. You can move towards her and sort of lead emotionally when she's still invested. But when there's low investment from her, she doesn't trust you. The trust is gone that you can change these behaviors and meet her needs. So you trying to do that now is applying pressure, which removes her further from what the outcome that you want, which is, being together, reconciliation, and keeping the family together, and having a nice, lovely white picket fence, big house, couple kids, couple dogs. You're moving away from that by applying pressure. Okay, so the wife, the woman, when she pulls back emotionally here and she says she wants space, separation, or divorce, she's looking for emotional relief. So when you understand that she's looking for relief emotionally because of the pressure, the situation she's under, okay, you have to understand that what you do next is critical. So if you can understand what we've got to do here, it will change how you respond completely. So let's get into that, what we have to do, or what we have to stop doing, okay? You need to stop making her current emotional state, which is cold, withdrawn, checked out, your emotional state. So that doesn't mean most guys react in one of two ways here. They're either going to start chasing, seeking reassurance, seeking validation, or they're going to pull right back and match her emotional state. That's a big mistake. Again, it's all about emotional leadership. So you need to be kind, you need to be open, you need to be warm, you need to be proactive, you need to be focusing on yourself and living according to your standards, values, and non-negotiables, irrespective of her response. Stop assuming that her emotional withdrawal means there's absolutely no path forward. Because the harder you chase here, because of your fear of that outcome of divorce or separation, the harder you chase her, the more distance that will create. So the key here is to remove the outcome-based thinking, remove the fear-based thinking and actions, subsequent actions, which is pushing her away. And don't emotionally withdraw either, because, you allow her to manage the relationship, the closeness or the distance. And when she comes to you, you're open, you're kind, you're warm. But you give her that space in the meantime for her to come back and forth as she pleases. So most guys are becoming very, very emotionally reactive in this situation where she's cold, she's distant, she's checked out, she says, I want space or separation. And they interpret that distance as abandonment, as she's done, as this is over. When it's really not. It's her just removing herself from the situation because it's overwhelming, it's a lot of pressure, and she's processing things. And she's also seeing your response. So panic will create emotional pressure, which just further destroys the emotional safety, which is the critical foundation to fixing this long term. So she has a strong character bias of you that's got her to this position where she's emotionally checked out. What you need to be doing is you need to be focusing on being consistent in your behavior, which is the opposite behavior to which is built the character bias she has towards you. You can't talk about fixing this character bias with her. It has to be shown through behavior. Okay, you can't fix a behavioral issue by talking about it. You need to be consistent over time. And until that occurs, she will be cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable. The moment she starts seeing change, she's going to come in and she's going to test the change. She's going to see if this is real or see if this is an act, if this is a mask again. Because I'm sure if you're watching this video, she said to you a number of times she requires change. Or you've seen this pattern continuously play out. Hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. Now she's just cold all the time. That's her disengaging from the relationship. So what you do next over the next 90 days is absolutely critical. So what we need to stop doing is stop being emotional, stop chasing and stop forcing outcomes, stop forcing validation, stop seeking that reassurance that you're looking for. When she goes cold, distant, or checked out, and we remain calm, we remain focused on ourselves and our changes that are required, and we create an environment that's easygoing, that's peaceful, that's kind. And she can step into that as she pleases and leave as she pleases. No control of her. Give her complete agency during this situation. How do we implement that? Stop viewing her emotional withdrawal as a catastrophe and start seeing it as information. So ask yourself, what emotional experience has the relationship consistently created for her? Why do people distance themselves from situations or people or things? Because it's painful. So they remove themselves. That's what she's doing. She's emotionally distancing herself because she doesn't believe there's going to be change. Change in regards to getting her emotional needs met. So you've got to ask yourself the tough questions from her perspective. What emotional experience has the relationship consistently created for her? Has the relationship for her felt emotionally safe? Has the relationship for her felt emotionally calm, emotionally predictable? Or is it emotionally exhausting? If it is emotionally exhausting and you know why, you need to fix that issue. Chasing, begging, and pleading does not fix the issue. It creates more pressure. So we got to focus less on forcing emotional closeness and more on changing the emotional experience of interactions with you. We change the environment. That's what we can focus on. We can't focus on her. We focus on what we bring to the table. So her emotional withdrawal is going to slow down, and emotional safety will begin to increase when you can change your behavior consistently. When you bring a calm, steady emotional state consistently. It's your job to lead here emotionally as the man. Now, the key points and recap of this video. Emotional withdrawal is always gradual. It's not sudden. It often develops from prolonged tension, exhaustion, conflict, or instability within the relationship. Panic, chasing, and pressure from you will deepen that withdrawal. That will make her move faster towards separation or divorce. Emotional distance is a search for her relief. That's why she's distancing herself. She wants relief. She wants relief from the pain that the environment that you've created brings to her. Now, it doesn't mean she doesn't love you. It means that the environment you're creating is not one that she wants to be a part of. And this is where women will say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. You're not meeting her needs. You're not providing enough stimulation. You're not providing enough dopamine. You're not providing enough oxytocin. You're not providing enough comfort. You're not providing enough excitement. What environment are you creating that creates the environment that she wants to be a part of? Okay, so reconnection becomes possible when you can be consistent with the environment you create and it's predictable and you're not living in her frame and reactive to her emotional states. So emotional withdrawal from the woman or from your wife is a response to prolonged emotional strain. It's not an immediate end to the relationship. Okay, she's been thinking about this for a long time. So to get her back into the boat, so to speak, back in the marriage long term, it's going to be a process. It's not going to be a quick fix here. And the way this happens is through consistent behavioral change, which the outcome is the environment changes. So we save the man, we save the marriage. Change the man, change the outcome. If you want help implementing this change and taking yourself from where she said, I want space, separation, or divorce, to within 90 days, her saying, hey, I see the changes, I'm willing to work on things again. If you want to be shown that complete process there, DM me the word bridge on Instagram and I'll get in contact with you. Or there'll be a call booking just below in this video's description. We'll jump on a call, we'll talk about your situation. If it's a good fit, I'll tell you how the program works and how we're going to save your marriage within 90 days. Book that call below.